Hey everyone, welcome to the Joomla conference. I'm delighted to have Viktor with me. Now, Viktor is one of the most enthusiastic developers in the Joomla sphere, not only in terms of the number of extensions he develops, but in terms of his actual enthusiasm for teaching people as well. He has 50, 60 different Joomla extensions on his site, I believe.
I'm not sure anymore.
It's an enormous number.
Yes.
And when you hear him talk, you'll realize where all those ideas come from. He's full of good ideas, full of the willingness to share those ideas as well. And so I'm delighted to have Viktor with us today. Viktor, over to you.
Thank you very much, Steve. Thank you very much. Wow, a great flower, a lot of nice words from you. And thank you for inviting me this year again. So it's always a pleasure to talk to the audience, to the people of the conference that are attending the conference. And as you said, I really love to share my knowledge. And if I get into the mood, you know how much I can talk and how I like to explain things. So, and we live in a hard time now and we cannot see each other. And I miss it, really, I really miss it. And that you give the possibility, the platform to at least to share some Joomla love, it's really awesome. So I really thank you as well. So thank you very much. And of course, everybody who's attending my session, and I hope you can learn something. I hope you can get something out of this session and you don't waste your time. So the title of my session today is Coding My First Joomla Extension. Actually, I need to rename it because what I prepared, what I think about to do in this time slot that we have in the session is to coding my first 2 extensions. So we increase already the number. So we will have 2 more extensions on our list.
That's how Viktor works. Start off with 1, then the 2, then 3 extensions, and suddenly.
Sorry, Steve, I cannot stop. You know me, man. But I like to keep it simple. You know, I like to have a really simple extension that does one thing, but does it really good. You know, I'm not the kind of person who write a big whatever extension that do a lot of 1,000 things and then it intervene and there's problems and then you have to bug fix it. So I like to keep it simple. So like the KISS principle, you know. And so my plan is to write 2 extensions for you, so live coding for you, and then I will do it step by step, and you will see my thinking processes, how I approach things. So maybe they help you to get into the whole topic. And so this time I want to focus more on the practical part, as I said. So we will just speak briefly about the theory behind it. So I just want to go over the theory quite quickly and then just jump into the coding part. It makes more fun, obviously, for everybody as well. So if you want detailed theoretical explanations about the plugins, about modules, whatever, so about the extension types, about the API of Joomla, you can watch the session from last year. So I gave the last year, also in the Joomla conference, last year I gave a presentation and we went more into details, theoretical part. So if you want, you should watch the video from last year. So as an introduction. So if you don't get everything from the short theoretical part now, just watch the video from last year in the Joomla YouTube channel. You can find all the videos. They have a lot of great, awesome videos. Just check the channel out. Joomla. I think user Joomla, so you will find it at YouTube. And then for this session, I prepared, I think I had over 20 slides. And then I started, and then I did a walkthrough and I said, well, that's too much. So I need only for the theoretical part, it would take me over an hour maybe if I would explain everything like I normally would do. So I reduced it now to 4 or 5 slides only. So we will not go into the detail. And I hope I can start soon with the practical part. So I will try to rush up a little bit. Don't worry, we will get this together. So, and then after this one, we will get and do some serious coding, I'd say. So let's go, maybe a quick note about me, a brief note. The most people who are in the Joomla world or scene or whatever, or are active in the community, they should already know me, or at least they heard my name or saw my name somewhere. So I worked with Joomla since 2005 when it came out. So I always started with Mambo and then Joomla came out. So I moved to Joomla. It was quite cool. And I was also part in some official teams in the past, and production leadership team and so on. But now I don't have the time actually. So you know how life is. But I still following everything, the development in Joomla, and still trying to spread out positive energy, positive love for Joomla. So I live in Karlsruhe. It's in the south of Germany, a beautiful city. I also studied here computer science. the KT. And as you see, I have a main project, what Steve already told you, the cubic Rubik Joomla extensions. So I started to write, I think in 2008 or 9 with the project, and it's still going on, and it's super. It makes so much fun, and I love doing it. And 2 years ago, I introduced pro extensions of all my free extensions and to a subscription model, and it's just great. I love doing it, and I get positive, great feedback from my users, and I want to do it. I keep doing it, and as my main job, so to say, yeah, I'm working for Plesk. So as an extension developer as well. So, and Plesk, you might heard of Plesk as well. So it's a server management platform for professionals. So if you have a server, you can put Plesk on it, and Plesk will do everything for you. It will keep your server up to date. And so everything, the management is done just through Plesk. And I also wrote the Joomla toolkit for Plesk. So that was really what was really important for me, to support Joomla also on Plesk, so you can manage all your Plesk instances in one single overview, and you can auto-update, you can auto-backup and everything. But I think that's enough. So let's start with some basics. So if we want to write our first extension, so we need to know some things. So what do we need to know? What do we need? I squeezed a lot of things on this slide. So there's a lot of more behind this slide. But if we want to write, so we need first is to have the knowledge of the system, so Joomla. So we need at least understand what extension types do we have, what types do we have in Joomla, what type can resolve what requirement. So if you have a specific requirement, what type would you use to resolve it, to meet the requirement? And how does the Joomla API work? So those are important questions that you will learn from after some time. But first you need to get into it. You need to dig a little bit into the code and understand also documentation and make your hands dirty, so to say. And what can I use out of the box, for instance? So you can use a lot of things with the API. So Joomla has a lot of things already included. You don't need to reinvent the wheel for everything. So you can just use what Joomla already offers you. So the second thing is you need a server to run the application, to run Joomla. So I personally prefer a local environment. So I'm on a MacBook, a Mac OS. I have a MAMP Pro on my machine. If you're on Windows, you can use XAMPP or EasyPHP or whatever. So there are a lot of tools out there. I know that you should know there are other ways to work. So develop. You can use Docker, you can use virtual machines, you can use even remote servers. But for me personally, I like to work completely on my local environment, local machine. So the advantages are it's quite fast. It's really fast. I see the changes directly. I don't have any latency. I don't have to upload my stuff. The debugger is natively integrated, and so on. There are many advantages to use a local environment. So this is what I do, and I used to it, and it works for me. For me, it works just fine. So just install it, and you have a local environment. So you open your browser and go to localhost. Then the port, maybe 888. It's the map. It's 888, 4 times 8, and then the path to the Joomla installation. And then you need an editor to write code, actually. So yes, you can use a normal editor like the Notepad, Notepad++, whatever, or Sublime Text. But to be honest, it makes no fun to write code or to develop something with a normal editor, and you will not be happy with them. So you will. I don't think you will keep doing it. So if you really mean it seriously, so you should use an IDE. IDE is an integrated development environment, and it will help you greatly to write clean, good, and maintainable code. So my recommendation is a PHP Storm. There are many other good IDEs out there, but I switched to PHP Storm so many years ago, and I really love it, and I'm still loving it, dude. I know so it has everything I need, or it has even more, So it has auto completion, highlighting. You see errors directly. So if you type something and if you forget something or you mistype it, you see or have a typo. You will see directly that there's an error. So you see what variables are not initialized. It has a Git integration. It works quite well. It works super, super well with GitHub. Everything. Debugger is out of the box, is already supported, and so on. It's a paid software, so PHP Storm. I think it's not that much. I think it's a private license is $90 per year, but it's worth every penny. So you get an integrated development environment, set it up. So I will show you now when we go to live coding, you will see how it works. I will show you some things that how I set up my environment, how I configure it. So now the system. Get a server environment where Joomla can be executed and get a good editor. This is what we need. So this is also when I do workshops, this is the first step that we do before we start coding, whatever. Everybody has to be ready, has to be a Joomla instance on the local environment, and PHP Storm is installed, the project is added, and then we can start coding. And everything is fine, and then it works. Okay. So then maybe quickly what extension types we have. So if you are using Joomla, you are familiar already with all of them. So I will make it really quick now here. So we have components, we have their complete applications within the Joomla installation instance. They have an own administrator area interface. They do outputs via views. They're using the MVC model, so model view controller approach. So they're quite complex. So if we start writing our first extension, you shouldn't go with a component. That's a good tip for me, from my side. Even I didn't struggle, but I had too much respect to components. So the first 2 or 3 years, I just modified or wrote plugins and modules. And then slowly you get into it. And if you understand the system better and more, you will also start writing components. Then we have plugins. So I love plugins. So that is my favorite type. So I really love plugins. So I think if you look at my extensions project site, I think most of them are plugins, not most of them, but maybe half of them are plugins. So they're really quite relatively easy to understand and to write. So really easy. Actually 2 files are enough to write a plugin, but they're so powerful. These plugins make Joomla so great, so powerful, so flexible. So you can do a lot of plugins. So they are triggered and they are working mainly in the background, but they can also create output in the front end. But they are not meant to create output. They are more for intervene into the processes, into the flows, and change some data, change some values. This is what we will do today. So we will take a look on a content plugin. So they're divided into different types. But if you want to know more about plugins, just watch the other video, okay? I don't want to spend too much time on this. Then we have the modules on the display. Display something, display an output on a template position. So, and then they mostly work together with other components, like the login module with a user, like the latest articles with a content. But there are also standalone modules like a hit counter or whatever. But usually the proper way is to show something from the component. So use the model to get data from the database and then show us a summary or whatever aggregation with a link to the main view. So this is what modules are. Like we have what we also have is the menu. The menu that you have is also a module. The banner module, the footer menu is also a module, and so on. And then we have templates, and they define the output of the site, and they also provide these positions and also the placeholder for the content for the main component output. They provide a placeholder, so you can style everything with a template, and you can also override the styles of the component with a template. So it looks good on the site. Every component should look, or everything should look fine with a template. So, and there are other types like packages or libraries, but they are not that important for me personally. I only write components, plugins, modules. And templates are, I'm not that a designer guy, Yeah, I modified a lot of templates. I rewrote a lot of templates. I updated, I did a lot of with templates. I wrote a lot of JavaScript code, whatever. But I've never written a template from scratch. So I'm not a template guy. All right, so let's jump to the Joomla architecture. So we have the API. We have a website, a dedicated website for the API. But to be honest, I've never used, in all the years, I've never used this page. But I just wanted to show you that we have something there. But what I'm doing, I'm looking into the code. If you want to know something, you go and look through with the help of your IDE. You can go look into the code and understand what it does. So I don't need to read this API because it's just a collection of the classes and functions. You don't really get really information from there. So if you want to learn, you just use the code, use the IDE, and then open the files and check what the functions are doing. But as I said, do use the API as much as possible. Never try to implement something that is already in the core. It's like database connection or curl request or sending emails. Always use the API. We have everything in place already. So you don't have to write your custom stuff that can break, that have security flows, whatever. So if we have something, if something is wrong in the Joomla classes, they will be fixed quite fast. So we have really great people. We are great people behind good developers and great Joomla team, and it's maintained and it's reported by the community. So try to use as much as possible from the API. Do not write own stuff. Like you never need to write curl requests manually. Always use HTTP class so that we have, or HTTP factory, whatever. Then we have the MVC pattern, but it's more important for components. So if we will not start with components, so it's not relevant for us, but it's something that you should understand if you come to the step to write a component, that you should understand how it works, how they interact together, what a controller does, what a view does, and so on. And overrides is very important to mention as well for me. So actually, you don't need to write, always need to write a custom plugin or custom module or custom extension if you can use overrides. So this is also what makes Joomla very, very strong, that you can override almost every output. Not every output, it depends how, if you do something in the plugin, within the plugin, it's hard to override this output. But usually if it's written properly, in a good way, and you can also use template files with plugins, then you can also override this output. And this is really great. So if I have a requirement that I have to change something in the output, just the output, maybe to show a list instead of a box or whatever, I would definitely prefer to write an override. But if I have the data already when the override is called, the template file, if I have everything there, but if I would need to connect to the database or do some crazy stuff, I wouldn't go with override. So I would look how I could extend the component or whatever the code with the plugin, or so to find another way. So override's a really great and a safe way, and an update safe way to extend Joomla as well. So keep it in mind. So, and you can not only override views, but also layouts. And as I said, so also even plugin outputs. So this is something that you should keep in mind if you have a task to do. And please, you should always check whether you can achieve it using an override. If not, then you have to look further. So maybe write an OM extension. All right, this is just a small overview of important classes and functions that we have. So the factory, you will stumble over factory in almost every extension. So it's you have one instance per object. Like you can get the user object. You use factory get user. You can get the application, or you can get the database object. You can use factory get DBO database object. So you will use factory often, very often. So this is a class I think that I have in every extension. But there are many other classes that you can use, like for input class is for processing queries and requests. So you should never use global variables directly. You should always go through the input class. It validates everything. So you have a responsibility towards your users. If you release something, your extension, or you do something for your customer, you should keep your code safe. So no security holes and so on. So HTTP, mail, text, and so on. So text is useful if you have language files and you have a multilingual file. But I don't want to stay on the slide too long, because I would like to start coding already. Okay, guys, so live coding. What I actually do, so I prepared already, so to say, dummy extension, wrapper extension. And I put a link here. You can download it. But Steve promised me that he will put also the link under the video when it comes out. So if you just want to follow the video, you don't have to type it down now. If you want to do it today, or to follow or to do the tutorial step by step today, you can also download it now. It's up to you.
Sure thing. It'll be under the YouTube video or in the Joomla post when we put it on Joomla Shack. Okay, great. Thank you. So this is the interesting part now. So before we start, I just wanted to say that we most likely, as I said before we started the video, I will not collect the IDs. I'm really sorry, because I would love to do this and get from inputs from you, but
But we don't have enough time to do this discussion. So we will not collect the ideas from the audience due to time constraints. And what I did, I already made some thoughts the past days, and I decided to go with two extensions. So to show you a content plugin, how a plugin is triggered, where it is triggered, how you can process the data that you get from the plugin, how you get something from the settings. This is everything we will do with a small content plugin, and also a small module that will show simply. I thought about showing an image and have a media field in the settings so that the user can select the image and then show the image in the front end. And the content plugin will show a greeting message to logged in users, like, hello, Victor, how's your day, whatever. And if you're not logged in, it should show some kind of a promotion code. So please subscribe now, blah, 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 blah. And another requirement will be that it's only displayed in the article view. So then you have a lot of different things that will help you to learn, to understand and to learn. So they are quite basic, but they will be functional. And I think it's quite a good starting point. So yeah, just let's start. All right, so I also, to speed up the process, I already installed a Joomla version on my local machine, a Joomla instance. Wait a second, I need to reload it. Okay, so the password is very short, 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's also local, so don't worry. So I will show you now PHP Storm. So now we are logged in. It's already on creased. And wait a second, where is my PHP Storm? Here we go. So if you ever installed Joomla or use Joomla, so you should know the documentation tree here on the left side. So we have administrator, we have the components folders, we have the images folders, and so on. So modules, plugins, folders, and so on. So this is the entry file, the index PHP, and this is what you see on my screen is PHP Storm. So I have the latest version, 2023. So I always create my own project from each of my extensions. And I do some settings that might help you also to develop better. So first of all, what I'm doing is setting the code style to PSR 12. So the default, the standard PHP standard, more or less. This will help you if you reformat the code, that it will reformat the code automatically to these standards, so to this bunch of rules. And it will also help you to read the code. It's easier to read. It's easier to maintain. And other extension developers can also easily get into your code. It helps a lot to follow some those standards. What I also do is to click to activate inspections for Joomla, and for PSR 12. So they are always on. And then for languages, if you go to PHP languages, you can set the language level. So in my case, my extensions are all from PHP 7.3. So the minimum requirement for my extensions is 7.3. So I set the PHP language level to 7.3. And now I can use everything that is already included in 7.3. So like specific return types that were not available in earlier versions of PHP. So this helps a lot to write a cleaner code and to use also the power of the version that you are aiming, that is the minimum required. The CLI interpreter, I also set one because I use a thing builder for all my extensions. So I click just to have to do one click, and the packages are created automatically. So it's less error prone. So everything is done automatically. I also add some JavaScript shrinking or whatever. So optimization there, and that's all. Okay. Okay. So first, let's go with the content plugin. I think this is the more important thing. I will just install it. And then we will take a look in the PHP Storm how it looks like. So I created this dummy plugin. Let me pull it here into it, install it. Okay, wrapper plugin for content plugin group. All right. So we just check it. Let's see where it is. Okay, I don't know. That's workshop is the name. What it didn't. Here we go. It's disabled, nothing happens, nothing works, nothing usual. So we don't have even the settings. So this is what we will do together now. We add some settings, we add the functionality we want to have. But I can already enable it, and you will see nothing will change in the front end. So here we have the front end, nothing changed. So I don't have anything in the output, nothing. Okay, what happens after the installation? So you can find it under the group content because it's a content plugin and with the name workshop. So it's important. The name is also important for the name convention. I will explain later how it works. So as you see, we just have 2 files. So the workshop, it has also the language files, but you don't see it in this folder because they're in the administrator/language in this folder. But actually, you just need 2 files to have a fully functional plugin. So XML is the manifest file, is the configuration file. Let me. Wait, how was? Oh, yeah, let's do. So this is where everything is defined. So what version, what date, the copyright, the author, the files that belong to this extension, the language, and also the configuration. The settings are also defined here, but I haven't added them yet. So we will do it together. And what we have else is the entry file, so to say. So the file that is executed. What we always do is this line, so that you cannot call this file directly. So if I would type /plugin/content/workshop/workshop PHP, it will just show me restricted access. So no direct access through the browser. This is very important because this constant is only set in the index PHP. So you have to go through the application, to the Joomla application, to show it, to load this code. So everything is prepared. So what's important is, so this is the new way how we do it in Joomla 3.8 and higher. So we use namespaces. So we use, you have to include it, the code use, and then you can just use CMS plugin. So it used to be G plugin, sorry. And this is, as you see, it's strike through. It means that it's deprecated. If I click on it and I have my stubs installed, I see how I can replace it. I can replace it with Joomla /CMS/plugin CMS plugin. I would just copy this. This is a stubs file. If you want, I can send you the stubs file as well. You can use it here. You just paste it here, and then just rewrite this in CMS plugin. That's all what you have to do. But if you use my sample over a wrapper plugin, you don't have to do anything. It's already done. As you see, everything is prepared. The construct is there. The cool thing is about PHP Storm, if I do it like this, so I see there's an error, so it's underlined. And I see missing visibility definition. It's not after the PSR 12 standard. So if I click on it, it automatically adds. So what we want to do is to manipulate the article object. And then we need to check what trigger events I can use. So for this, we also have Joomla trigger events. We have a system. We have a documentation page with all the triggers, all the events that are triggered by the component. For instance, if we are now in the content group, and you see we have a lot of triggers to use. So this is one of the extension of one of the component that uses a lot. Okay, user as well for all the authentication stuff and saving or user object saving. Sorry. But we see we have a lot of things. So if we want to manipulate the article text, we could use on-content prepare. It's more to modify the article itself, the content, because we just want to add something, but it can also be used to add something. It doesn't matter here. So as you see, we have an example in this email clock. So what I would do, I would just go open the email clock and just show, look how you have to call the content prepare. So you see we have four attributes. And this is also how the event is triggered with 4 in an array of 4 attributes. So this is what I would do is let's just copy it in my workshop and remove this part. So we don't need this part. Okay, so as you see, we have content prepare here, but what you can do is to see where it is triggered. You can copy it. And then, as you know, we are looking for the content. I can just search for it. I can go view article and use find in files. And you see we found a place where this event is triggered. This event is triggered in the HTML.php within the name, and it has 4 attributes. So we have the context, we have the item itself, we have the params of the article, and an offset. And you see, we need, if we want to call this, so we just create a function. So it's just a user callback. So we create a function with this name and with four attributes, 4 parameters. So this is what we have here. We have the public function content prepare, and with 4 parameters. So what we can do is it doesn't need a return value. So we don't do anything because it's a reference. So we get a reference, and if we change something in our code, it will be also available here. So every change will also be here reflected here. So this is why we don't need a return value. So we just can return void or whatever. So just return. But the reason why I'm doing this to show you how I would debug it, how I get the information that I need. So I would set a breakpoint here. This is already activated. So you see the debugger is activated. I would set a breakpoint here and just open the front end. And you see that the code will be stopped here where the breakpoint is. You see on the left side, the trace. So this is where Joomla was started in the index PHP. And then it loaded this file, loaded this file, loaded this function, blah, 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 and all the trace until your extension was loaded. So this is also a good way to learn how Joomla actually works internally. What is when loaded? What we have is we have the context. So our one requirement was to not show, to only show it in the article, because we can have many other contexts. Like in the block view, in the list view, then the context will be different. But we just want to show it if the context is com content article. So what I could do, I can even start working already, writing, even though the debugger is still halted here. So I can just fulfill my first, if it's not context, what we have here, we can just copy it even, copy value. Then it should simply return. So if we are in another context, we don't manipulate anything. So this is important. So this is the first requirement that we already met. The other thing was to show something if the user is not logged in, or to show something different if the user is logged in. So you have to think about how this can be solved. The most cases are when the user is not logged in. So you should try to use the more resource intensive parts later. So try to exceed as soon as possible. So most of the time the page will be loaded by not logged in users, like bots or normal visitors, normal guests. So what we can do is, as I told you, we can just take a look in the factory class and get user. So they get the user object. And if you go into this objects, you will see that it has a flag, so to say. The flag is guest. So if this flag is set to 0, then it's not a guest, then it's a logged in user. If it's a guest, then it's true, or set to 1. So this is what we can use. So first of all, we need to get the, I will do this to show you, it's easier. Wait a second. So let's choose. So now we can set a local variable like user, factory, get user. So now we will get the global user object. And now we can ask, let me stop the debugger. If user guest, then we show something, the promotion text that I wanted to show. So let's add a promotion text via the configuration. So config, then we use fields. What was it named? Params? Params. And then we have the field set name basic. All right. So you can just copy paste it. So you don't need to write it by hand. But now we can add fields in the settings. And one field that I want to use for the promo text is like a text area. And if you look for standard form field types, we have a documentation these are fields that are predefined in Joomla. So you don't have to create your own types, except you need some you have some special cases, but you can use a lot of predefined. So we have checkboxes, radio button, list, editors, whatever, hidden, even user roles and whatever. Everything is already predefined. A lot of things are predefined. So we can use for text area. Here we go. I will just, sorry, I need to speed up a little bit because I want to do the module as well. So I just copy paste it here and then say, let's say promo text. I don't care. It's just a text area. Default is empty, and the label will be enter promo text. It doesn't matter. So it's just for showing purposes. Okay. So we define something here in the config part of the XML. So let's open it the backend and see whether it's displayed properly. You see? So we have our text area. So this is how you add options to your settings, to the settings of your extension. And what I can do is I can try to add strong conference some text. So strong text. So let's make a paragraph. So it's not okay. I save it. So you see, it was stripped. This is for security purposes. But if you need HTML text, you can set a filter. So you would go there. You would go to here to the documentation and look for filter. Okay. So we have filter to certain HTML or even the raw data. So this is what we can use. We go to the XML file and set the filter to, let's try with HTML. I think it should be enough for HTML tags, not for JavaScript. Let's try it again with a P strong. Okay, let's save it. Oh, it's not enough. So I'm not sure whether it's working. So let's try with row. Okay. I should have copied it. Okay, save. Okay, see, it was not stripped. So you need to use the filter row in this case. I'm not sure, maybe HTML is not supported, but it's in the documentation. We need to update the documentation maybe. Anyway, so now we can get the promo text. So the promo text is, you can load the promo text using this. So if you don't know how to get it, so this is the typical way to get from something from the params. This params get, in this case in the plugin. If you didn't know how to do it, you could just stop here, execute it in the front end, and then just look here in the variables, and you will see where it is stored. And then I can get this params. And the default is empty. So, and a good thing is always to check if it's set at all. So if not empty, or if we can use like this, not empty, promo. So, and now I need to think about where the text is stored of the article, and I don't know it, so I need to stop it. I would hold it here. I would open the front, reload it, and then take a look into the variables that are currently initialized or used. So I will get the, as we saw, we get the row. Okay, the name of the row is a little bit misleading. I use item or article, but now we get row. And you see the article, the whole text is in intro text in this case. So intro text or even text. I don't know what is used actually. Maybe let's try with intro text. So what I could do is just to say, okay, row intro text. How is it written? Intro text should be my promo text plus what's already there. So intro text. Okay, we save it, we execute it, we remove, and then we see whether it works. You see? Oh, intro text. You see, that's also great if you have debugger, your local machine, you see, also notice, and you see what's wrong. So we have an error, and I see I forgot the T. So it's not intro text, it's intro text, not intro text. Okay. Okay, not intro text is used. I'm sorry. So yeah, it depends. I would have to look into the component. I don't have the time, so I have to hurry a little bit. Okay, you see, now this is my promo text. It was replaced. This is when I'm logged in. I'm not logged in. And of course, you have to style a little bit to make it nice with a red box or whatever. And you see, it was loaded. If I go to the Joomla category, okay, I don't see the content anyway. So this is when a user is not logged in. But what the case for user logged in? So we need to return here. So the flow ends here if the user is a guest. For not logged in user, I would like to use something like hello username. How are you? What I would do is create a variable, a language variable, because it can be multilingual. So all my extensions are multilingual anyway. And then I would say something like, let me copy it. I make it bigger, sorry guys. Greeting. And then I would say hello, and then we want to replace, we want to have it dynamically. So we will just use this style, and we can replace the first parameter that I will use will be replaced with the S will be replaced with a value that I will how I will call it when I will call it. Okay, so we can say okay, greeting, whatever. Then we need this one. So to load a text constant, language constant, you need this Joomla CMS language text, this plus. So we do the same here. Then we open text. And now I need to use as printf for the replacement. And then I will get this. And I get the user name. So do we have a get username? No. Can we access the username directly? Yes, we can. So this is what I meant by using an IDE. It will help you with the auto completion, and that's great. You see, I had just to check, and the auto completion showed me what I can actually use. And we do the same thing. We just replace it. Now you will see it will not work directly because plugins are not loading the language file by default in the front end. You see, if I'm logged in, it will show me this constant. This is not what we want. Wait a second, let me do it like this. Okay. So you see, it's just a language file. So it's quite easy to solve. If we go to the CMS plugin, we will see there's also a flag with auto-load language. This is what we can use. We just set it to true in our extension, in our plugin. And that's all what we need to do to load the language also in the front end too. Hello, Viktor. So this is my username. And this is how you can write a small, really nice plugin to greet your users or whatever. So you can show whatever you want there. So this will be only visible for logged in users. If I log out, I will see the promo page, the promo message, get your tickets or whatever. So this was for the plugin part. Steve, do I have 5 minutes for the module? Okay, he's not there. Okay, this is, now you see we have a fully functional, really small extension with not even 70 lines of code. And you can do a lot of cool things there. And you can, as I said, you can enter whatever you want. You can use whatever you want. You can even extend it. Let's do quickly the module part. So the modules works similar, but we have a little bit more, one more file there, actually, in my case. So it's the template file. So modules have a template, and you use a template file to make it overridable. So let me install quickly the module. But you have everything in the package that Steve will also link under the video later. So you can just install it and then play around with it. So let's do the same thing. We have the workshop module. I will open it. You see, I don't have any configuration there. Let's just open it, publish it, sorry, to, what was the last position 3, I think, in Protostar. Where is it? Here we go. And publish. It's published. It's on all pages. It's, I think it's first, publish first. Now let me see. This was another one. Wait a second. Okay. So you see. Wait a second. It was on position 3. It was position 7. Sorry. You see. I was wrong. Okay. I need to hurry. All right. So let's see. So we will not have any output because I have the template file is empty. What I will do is let's copy paste this one. So to speed up the process. So now we installed the module. So we go to modules. And then we will find the module under workshop. And you see we have one more file. It's a folder with temple and the default output. So if I would enter something here, my module would be loaded in the front end. So now it's not empty. Here we go. Here it is. But let's remove this. So my idea was to give the possibility to upload an image here or to select an image and then to show the image in the front end. What I would do is the same thing to the config, but I would use the media form field. So I would go back. I would look for media, sorry. Just take it, copy paste it from here, from the example, then remove my promo thing. I would just call it image, media, and no stories, just directory empty. That's all what I have to do now. Then I open it again, and then I see we have the image. So this is the name, but usually you should set a label, but I don't have time for it. But now you can see it opens the media model window. And then you can just select an image that you want to show. Let's go with a fruit shop, whatever, with apples. Insert. Now I store it. Now we store this path into the settings, into the option as a value. So we have the path and we have the preview here, but we don't have anything in the extension yet. So what we actually have to do is very simple. We need to define it. We need to call it image. So for modules, you just get params, get image. So to make it easy, I could stop it here, call it, and let's see whether we get the image path, the proper image path that we defined. And you see it's there. So it's there. So this is, now we set the image variable. We could use it directly in the default. So this is what I could just write easily. That's quite easy to do. Oh, wait a second. Check. We have the image. We have the source. And the variable name is echo image. And that's pretty all. Now it should show our image in the front end. I have to reload, sorry. Ta-da, we have the image here. So if I change the image, it should also change the image. Wait a second. So let's go with bananas. Save. Reload. Now we see the bananas. So, and just small thing, just to show you how powerful Joomla actually is. So if you want to show the image in a modal window, it's really easy possible. So I need to load the HTML helper, and I need to define to load the model window parameters. And this is something you have to know or just to look up in the documentation. And then you will load the squeeze box that already comes in with Joomla. And that's all what we have to do. And now we can say ref, the same. We just simply link to the same image for the modal window. And we have to go with class model if we don't change it. So this is what we do. So what we're actually doing is just we load the required JavaScript files for the model window, and then we just trigger it with it looks for the class model, and if it finds it, it will replace it with a link to a modal window. Sorry, and then we reload it. Now we see it's a link. It's a link, and if I click on it, it should not open it in the new window, whatever, but in a model window. And you see it works. So it works out of the box. So you have a nice image module, sorry, with a nice effect, model window effect. So
awesome.
So that's pretty all what I have now, I think.
Yeah, thank you so much, Viktor.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you for having me, Steve. Great, keep doing it, and I really love to support you, to help you. And I hope everybody learned something new today. And if you have any questions, just write me. You can find me at admin@Kubik with my project, or on the social platforms. You will find me somewhere. I'm always somewhere around. So, and thank you, and have a lot of fun on the conference with the talks.